swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Yes. Excellent. Have a seat. Ms. Reed, at your pleasure.
Thank you.
Come to this door.
Oh,
This door.
the door. Should I wait for the other jurors?
Please.
We have two jurors.
Ajay's a little nervous.
Our jury is double in size, so.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh my God. Is that Mr. Gilbert's tie? Mr. Gilbert's tie? No, I was on.
Okay.
Oh, we have photos.
Oh, sa paroa.
Should I?
And we're
We're gonna
ready.
smile or look
So-
studious?
so-
No.
So, Ms. Reed, whenever you're prepared.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Nathanson, can you introduce yourself for the court?
Yes, my name is Jordan Nathanson. I'm 61 years old and I live in metropolitan New Jersey.
And what is your current occupation?
I'm CEO at Nathanson Associates.
And how does this qualify you as an expert witness in this case?
I have worked in the FBI for 20 years, working with larceny, murder, and kidnapping cases, and building criminal profiles.
Your Honor, I'd like the court to recognize that Jordan Nathanson is an expert in criminal profiling.
Any objections?
No, Your
No,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. So the court so recognizes. You may proceed.
Thank you. What is the reason you are here in court today?
On the night of October 28th, I was approached by the Reynolds, saying that they would go to any length to find the kidnapper of their son, Bailey Reynolds.
And why did the Reynolds feel they needed your services?
They wanted to make sure that the police were following strict protocol in this investigation.
And you believe that they respected your opinion as an expert?
Yes.
So how did you obtain evidence relevant to this case?
Devin Walsh's office sent me all of the evidence.
So you had access to the same evidence as Devin Walsh?
Yes.
How do you go about analyzing all this information?
I build a potential perpetrator profile, and I do this by basically outlining what the potential perpetrator for the particular crime would look like.
And could you describe in more detail this profile?
Yes, there's essentially three phases. There's the antecedent phase, where I essentially try to find a motive for the crime. There's the method and meta phase, where we conduct a thorough investigation of the crime scene. And then there is the post-offensive behavior phase, in which we analyze the behavior of the potential criminals after the crime has been committed.
So could you describe how the facts of the case fit in with the first phase of the profiling you just described?
Yes, Lauren Perry did not necessarily have a motive for this crime because of her long and outstanding relationship with the Reynolds before and during the time of this crime.
Now what about the manner and method phase? How did the facts fit?
Yes, during that phase, we found fingerprints on the crime scene, which had the fingerprints of Lauren Perry, and we found that this was very believable because of the friendship that the two families had. It was very believable that fingerprints would be there, and understandable because the fact that Lauren Perry would have been in and out of the house. Additionally, we also thought that the timeline did not match up, that under an hour, I believe it was 15 minutes, Lauren Perry would have been unable to conduct the kidnapping of Bailey.
Now what about the post-behavioral phase? Post-offense behavioral phase, I'm sorry.
Lauren Perry exemplified the behavior of an innocent suspect. Usually, guilty suspects try to inject themselves into the investigation, trying to outsmart the police. And Lauren Perry did not exemplify any of that behavior. She was much more reserved, which is usually an act that is done by an innocent suspect.
Now is there any other person that better fits your profile? And who might that person be?
Katie Browlaw.
How did you come to this conclusion?
When I was building my potential perpetrator profile, she seemed to fit all of the three phases that I
Did you present this finding to them?
did.
And what was their reaction?
They seemed very close-minded about it. They seemed very content with Lauren Perry as a suspect, and they seemed convinced that she had done it, and seemed very close-minded with anything else.
Now after seeing that, in your words, they were closed-minded to this idea, did you then bring your findings to the police?
I did.
And what did the police do?
They more or less had the same reaction that the Reynolds had. They were also very close-minded. They said that they had already had a suspect that fit the description, and they were very content with that and did not want to hear about any more suspects.
Okay. Now have you worked on any other investigations in the past?
Yes.
As this is in your work as a criminal profiler?
Yes.
Now, so you've had reasonable exposure to proper police protocol?
Yes.
And you understand proper police protocol because of your past work?
Objection, Your Honor. Under the terms of the pretrial conference, this witness is only allowed to testify as to his expertise in criminal profiling, not to police work.
Ms. Green, are you offering this as an expert?
I'm not offering this as an expert, I'm simply trying to establish that in his expert capacity, he has worked in other police protocol situations, this is simply as a layperson.
So this is a lay person.
I'm asking for his opinion on police investigations as a layperson, but he has had access to these investigations because of his work as an expert.
In that case, a layperson is not allowed to offer an opinion.
Let's see if you can restrain this to his observations, keeping it away from his opinions.
Okay. Now, based on your observations pertaining to the work that you did on this case, did you find that the police were comprehensive in their investigation based on the case materials you were given?
On my observations, I did not.
Okay. And do you think that this could have caused a lapse in their judgment?
Objection. Counsel's asking for an opinion. Do you think?
Sustained.
Thank you. Do you still think you have a good relationship with the police?
I did.
And you feel that you could continue to work together in the future?
Yes.
No further questions.
Cross-examinations.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Nathanson, I have a couple questions about the potential perpetrator profile. You say you produced this profile for the probable perpetrator of a particular crime, is that correct?
Yes.
And so your profiles are based on psychopathological patterns, correct? And you deal with trends that would be true for most cases, right? Please say yes or no to all questions unless I instruct you otherwise. You deal with trends that would be true for most cases.
Yes.
But not all cases, correct?
Both.
Please say yes or no. Not all cases, correct?
Yes.
So is it possible that the kidnapping of Bailey Reynolds is an exception to the general trend?
Unlikely.
Yes or no, please. Is it possible?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, are you considered a reliable expert by other criminal profilers in your field?
Seeing as though I've been employed by many private people.
Please say yes or no. Please say yes or no. Are you considered a reliable expert by others in your field?
Yes.
You are. Permission to approach the defense with D1. Permission to approach the witness with D1.
Granted.
Do you recognize this document?
Yep.
Could you identify it, please?
David?
Yes. And is this your signature?
Yep.
So everything in this affidavit is the truth. Now, please follow along silently while I read aloud your affidavit. I am considered by many as somewhat eccentric and called by some, usually competitors, a nut. Did I read that correctly?
You did, but I'd like to point out that.
Did I read that correctly?
Yep.
Thank you.
Objection, this is irrelevant evidence.
I'm trying to ascertain the credibility of this witness.
This has nothing to do with the credibility of the witness. As he stated, the people that usually refer to him as eccentric are his competitors and therefore be inclined to have a less positive view than unbiased bystanders.
Okay, so counsel, the definition of relevance is something that tends to make a fact more or less true. Who actually weighs the degree of truth?
Jury?
The jury does. So in this instance, since the fact could make it more either more or less true, we'll let the jury consider it. So it is relevant, and I'm going to overrule, but thank you.
Thank you. So, as stated in your affidavit, you are considered to be an eccentric by some in your field. Yes? Okay. Thank you. Now, you also say in your affidavit that 85% of the kidnapping cases over the last 50 years have involved a perpetrator that was totally unassociated with the family of the victim prior to the crime. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, so you say that Lauren Perry is family friends with the Reynolds, and that constitutes an association with the family, true?
Yep.
And that makes her less likely to have committed the crime, according to your general trends, right?
Yep.
Now, were you in court when Peyton Braylow testified?
Yes.
And you heard her testimony?
Yes.
And you heard her say that she's been babysitting for the Reynolds for 1 year.
Yes.
And please say yes or no. Is this a relationship with the family?
Objection. Lack of personal knowledge. Our witness is not bound by the statements made by any other witness that the prosecution has brought, nor by any statement in those witnesses' affidavits.
And so you believe the facts that he's being asked are coming from other witnesses' affidavits?
I believe that what the prosecution is saying is coming from other witnesses' affidavits, or other witness testimony, and therefore he is not bound by them.
In the documents given to this witness by Detective Walsh, it was noted that Peyton Braylow has been a long-term babysitter of the family, therefore he was aware of this. Also, I am asking for his expert opinion in that whether or not this is a relationship with the family.
Okay, so Mr. Reynolds, have you seen the document?
This is not Mr. Reynolds.
I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. Nathanson, have you seen the document?
I have.
And counsel, did he rely on any of those statements for forming his conclusions?
No, he did not.
He did not rely on any of the evidence given him
On
by...
any of the statements as in affidavits, or any of the statements as in what Devin Walsh gave?
The materials that he was given by Devin Walsh?
Yes, he relied on
He
those.
relied on that, but not on the affidavits?
Not on the affidavits.
He didn't consider the affidavits at all?
The affidavits are not evidence, Your Honor. They're not evidence in his investigation, Your Honor.
It says in his affidavit that he was given statements of all witnesses interviewed by the police, and the statements of Lauren Perry, Peyton Braylow, Ryan Reynolds, and Casey Perry.
Statements, not affidavits. Statements as they were interviewed by Mr. Walsh, not as they were interviewed by the court.
With this
But
information.
bounce back there, counsel.
No, but this
Nevertheless,
was the statement.
I'm going to allow this a little bit, see where it's going. If you find evidence in there that you think is squarely outside his capacity to address, I'll let you stand up again.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But bounce back.
So, please say yes or no. Would the fact that Peyton Braylow has babysat for the family for 1 year, would that constitute a relationship with the family?
I don't think I can answer that yes or no, but that's a relative question.
I'm asking for your opinion as an expert witness. Would you say that this constitutes a relationship with the family?
As her role as babysitter?
Yes. She has babysat for the children for 1 year. Never mind the fact that she has known the children for 1 year, and Mr. Reynolds, in his testimony, said that she gets along well with the children, she knows them well. No, you would not. But yet you still maintain that Mrs. Perry's long-term relationship with the family as a family friend exempts her from this crime.
Yes.
All right.
Objection. This is a mischaracterization of testimony. The relationship between the Reynolds and the Perrys is simply so much deeper and greater than the relationship with Peyton Braylow that it's unfair to compare the two.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
That's a subjective opinion. That's not evidence.
Okay, so with all due respect to the defense team, this witness has already answered a question, right, that he is, as an expert, believes that a year's acquaintance doesn't constitute a relationship. So he's got an opinion that you believe the jury should be able to hear. So you can't now turn around and want to qualify that more when the attorney follows up on that, right? You're going to have to let the jury, you're going to have to trust the jury to do their job. Having wanted it in, we can't now take it out. So thank you. Have a seat. Please re-ask your question.
So you believe that Mrs. Perry's long-term relationship with the family exempts her from being a likely perpetrator of this crime?
Yes.
Thank you. Now you also said under direct examination that that you said that Lauren Perry is a family friend and spends a lot of time in the Reynolds home, correct?
Yep.
And in direct examination, you said that this makes finding her fingerprints in the home very believable. True? Now, please say yes or no. As a long-term babysitter who babysits regularly, Ms. Braylow also spends considerable time in the home, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, you find Ms. Braylow's fingerprints to be more relevant than those of Mrs. Perry? Please say yes or no.
Can you repeat the question?
Say yes or no. Do you find the fingerprints of Ms. Braylow to be more relevant than the fingerprints of Mrs. Perry?
Can you rephrase the question?
Can I rephrase?
This is
You
the
don't have that
spelling
choice.
bee.
Pretty straightforward. Do you think they're more relevant or not?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you have expressed your opinion from experience working with the police that the police were not thorough. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you based your opinion